Bon Kai. Hello, everyone.
Oh shit! What is your vodka? Come up with an OC, Bleach OC on the spot
we're missing Bon Kai in volume 1 here, so I should indeed make my debut. It'd probably be like it'd be something stupid. Because I'd be like the character that like I have like the badass one-liners, and I do some cool shit. But as soon as I do anything practical, it just looks a mess, and everyone makes fun of me, and they're like, "Bruh, you ain't all that, Mister." Because I'd be like the older character. I'd be like a Kyoraku, so everyone would call me Mister.
I'm so stupid. I forgot to read comments on the last episode.
Oh, you know what? I read them actually 2 weeks ago. I wonder if they've changed a lot. I remember a few of them.
I remember liking a bunch of them, like, or finding them good, but I just never thought, like, because for some reason I was just on the mindset of, like, I don't know, we've been at it, okay, it's been a while. Like, I think that's part of it, because this podcast, like, it was uploaded literally a month ago, the last discussion, so I'm not on that, like, routine of, read, comment, and, or read comments right before the discussion. And also this discussion recording date has changed at least, it's changed around a bit. So I just have not thought about the comments at all. I'm looking
sorry. Now. And actually, Askin is the only new comment, 13 days ago. Okay. No big comment this time. Most of what I really wanted to call attention to, I already did. Just wanting to say that it's been great to hear your thoughts, and I'm glad to help out. Can't exactly promise I can bring this level of commitment to all series you cover, but I've been saying that discourse around media never really was good, and all we can do is try to understand it better ourselves and help others, and that's what I want to do. Hey, Askin. Us too, brother. Us too.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad that people have gotten quite a bit out of the podcast, because Avillian has a similar comment about just, being, very glad to have this long discussion. I think Titania said something to that effect. Fuffy. Very positive, overall, which I'm glad you guys like the discussion, and, I'm glad you appreciate it, because I definitely had fun doing it, so,
Oh my god, I just put way too much olive oil in my egg whites. I did not mean to pour that much, guys. It's fucking over for me. This is ruined. Actually, meal equals ruin. Egg whites are already bad enough, guys. Egg whites fucking suck. But, like, to put that much, I did not mean to. I just ruined. Okay, I'm still gonna eat it, but...
No, I know you are. That's why I'm like, oh no. That's really unfortunate.
It's gonna be getting a lot of fat today, boys. Yummy, yummy.
But yeah, so I guess, yeah, sorry for not responding to very many specific comments. I'll reread them after this, and I'll bring them up next time if I have any I really want to respond to. But yeah, generally, like, yeah, so I appreciate what, Radman has a few as well. He's also been talking to me in private now as well, so you're no longer part of a secret club with Radman.
Yeah,
he gave me a bunch of links because I mentioned the Kubo's health in regards to the the end of Bleach and Jump, and he did send me some links and explained why he felt like why he believes what he does believe, and it seems pretty reasonable. So just very nice.
Cool. I want to call attention to Marimo. Marimo doesn't even watch this podcast.
Okay. I didn't know it was Marimo when I saw that comment. Yeah, so he commented on my stream recently, and I recognized the avatar, and it's like, because for some reason his name reads as Flint9668 to me. So I didn't know it was Marimo. And so I literally was like, because it doesn't read like a copy pasta. I mean, maybe a bunch of it is, but there's some very specific. There's some very specific stuff in there that is specifically related to me. Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure.
Yeah, he added stuff related to you. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So okay, gotcha. Because I I kind of figured that, but there's also part of me that, because it's like I guess I haven't run into fans that weird, but I definitely run into fans that are a little parasocial, so the part of like part of me is definitely like, oh, maybe how like what percent of this is ironic. Like, I mean, but now knowing a copy pasta, I can just enjoy it for what it is. Like the line, I think it's like, I sometimes jokingly call you my daddy. It's like, oh my god, like it's just really funny.
Yeah, he's a little meme, right? He might, though, unironically, if we just dedicate this podcast exclusively to One Piece, he would unironically do that to both of us.
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe not to me. Me and him are a little bit too, I don't know, that's no longer our dynamic, I would say.
Okay.
But, yeah, in terms of I guess... From what I recall because the Quincy timeline stuff is what I was most interested in when Radman commented, and from what I remember, it's a long comment, but from what I remember, it's still hazy. Like nothing has been quite confirmed yet.
Yeah, no, it was a longer comment, but it literally starts off where it's like, yeah, it's the biggest mystery in Bleach, and it's the weirdest shit.
Oh, okay, yeah, I just gotta read the
where
first
it's
line.
Like, so he keeps going on to that, but it's also generally just like, yeah, we don't fucking know. So he does bring up like a bunch of the timeline, like mentions of like the time, the 200 stuff that people talk about 200 years ago, people talk about 1,000 years ago, and just what we know. Basically, and just like, yeah, it doesn't really come together, but that's also like a deliberate mystery from the implications of that one anime scene.
I'd imagine, yeah, it's going to be, because we do get that one anime scene, it's probably going to be elucidated. I'd imagine. Like what's the point of adding that if you're not going to expand on it in core 3 or 4?
Exactly, right.
So we'll get our answers, just like we got a lot of answers in Can't Fear Your Own World, guys. Oh,
yeah.
Well, not so much answers, but like...
Well, so this volume, I mean, it's the shortest one. It definitely felt like a prologue in the sense of like it's setting, like especially the way the last chapter ended, where it's literally just like going through a bunch of like, talking about the execution and Tokinada's Zanpakuto, and just like little things that seem to be like building into the next two novels, right? And never mind the whole rest of the first novel. But yeah, no, I thought it was pretty interesting, and it was, some neat stuff established. I'm very interested in our antagonist man.
Majority
who's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's great. He's great, and we'll get into Tokinada a little bit, but we're obviously going to get a lot more characterization from here on, because it's so fascinating. Because most of this book novel, same thing. It is just a lot of setup for, and I guess this goes hand in hand with what Radman was telling me, is like, dude, wait for volume 3. Volume 3 is going to blow you away. Like, it's going to knock your socks off. It's epic. It's dope. It's some Bleach Kino shit. So I'm expecting good things. But even though this was all setup, it was like a really nice change of pace. In that, so I have to say, like, a lot of, because heck, you guys know now I'm a huge Bleach winker, right? It's my favorite manga now. To be determined, maybe, and maybe if I reread Berserk, I don't think so though, because a lot of what
Berserk's really good.
Berserk's really good, but a lot of what I love about Bleach is like half of the story, and by half of the story I mean the untold story, not directly in dialogue, is through visuals alone. You can get so much extra story out of just the visuals. I find that like super enthralling, and it really like what made the Bleach experience for me. And I'm going to mention again, like Dark Souls, it's kind of that way. It's like, if you want, you can dig into it. Bleach on surface level is still cool as shit, and it's got some cool shit to tell, but it's that visual storytelling. And dude, Crafts, I have to bring up Radman again, because the thing is like, we were going back and forth on Ichigo versus Eisen again. Radman helped me realize, because I was already laying down some observations I had that I didn't mention in the podcast, and Radman was like, hey, here's a cool thing about this, and in reference to Yuhabaha, and how it literally visually it's foreshadowing the entire final shit. And I was like, wait, I was just like blown away. I was like, this is fucking crazy. And the fact that like, I don't even know, because I mentioned in Soul Society when we were reading the Uryu versus Mayuri fight, I was like, oh, this is just like when Ichigo uses his final Getsuga Tensho.
Yes.
I don't know why I didn't mention or bring it to its logical conclusion when we were watching, talking about reading that section, Ichigo versus Eisen. The way Final Getsuga Tensho functions is just like Uryu's ability that made him lose his powers. And there's even a doodle. I say doodle. It's a legitimate drawing. I don't mean doodle. It's a.
I know you mean the volume sketches, right? Like
yeah. So there's a draw.
Yes.
I don't know. It's not a volume. It's not a volume sketch.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so anyway. It's not. It's definitely not cover art of a volume, but it's a picture. It's an official art piece from Kubo, where the final Getsuga Tensho in Ichigo's right hand literally looks like a bow. It literally just looks like a black bow. And the way it enshrouds his right hand, it looks like he has a glove on, just like Uryu. And I was like, oh. And then fucking Radman sent me a cover, a color page. And he was talking about some of the symbolism there. I was like, oh wait, Ichigo's only got one right glove on, and he's like, bro, I didn't even notice that. I was like, wait, you didn't notice that? I was like, it was just crazy. And then so we went down that rabbit hole on that conversation. I was like, dude, Bleach is it's amazing. Kubo doesn't say any of this shit. You can analyze specific panels for fucking 5 years and get. And honestly, I don't think it's a stretch to say Kubo planned it all because of how intentional it seems. And obviously, I'm not going to ascribe all of it as intentionality, but like it feels so like you're peeking into the mastermind. You're peeking into the master's mind, I should say. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and so when I'm reading Can't Fear Your Own World, it is definitely a vastly different experience because we're literally like all the stuff that was in the background that we even visually we couldn't really see because of the the restraints Kubo was running under. We're just explicitly being told. So it is a different change of pace. Like, well, we're explicitly told things in Bleach, but a lot of the story is told through the visuals. Like I said. And now we don't have a visual medium, and we're being told it all. But again, it's a nice change of pace because this is the most world building for Bleach I think we've ever gotten. At least in terms of in such a short time span, how much information this first volume has and how much it sets up. I think it was a really fun read. I enjoyed all of it. I didn't think, I'm going to be honest, I didn't think going in with the perspective of Hisagi would be that entertaining, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Hisagi never struck me as a really interesting character. Like, for instance, if we're talking about the assistant captains, I vastly prefer Kira. If I knew we were following Kira in this, I'd be like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm all on board. Let's fucking go. But actually, we switch around a lot, and even Hisagi's stuff, especially with the Fullbringers, it's really good. I have no complaints. I really have no complaints. The setup was really, really enthralling, and for setup, that's all you can ask for. If it's really interesting setup and you know it's going to go somewhere cool, or at least you can see it going somewhere cool. What else can you ask for? It was really fun. But that's overall thoughts on it. We'll get on to the specifics unless you want to say something overall, how you felt about it.
Well, I mean, first, I guess, because I've also been having a conversation with Radman, I guess to share one interesting one of just, because he was talking to me about the chapter titles in the final volume, because he felt like there was something meaningful there, but he felt like it was missing something. And specifically, there was 3 chapters that I added to his thoughts of, because there's the end to world, which I read could mean the end : to world parentheses with an S. It's a continuation of the end as it's following up Ichigo's blade being broken with its restoration, as the creation of the second world is Tsukishima. The first world is Yuabaha breaking Ichigo's blade, and then Tsukishima made a second world where he restored it. The chapter after that, the two-sided world end, is related to it. Well, here's where it gets kind of interesting. Related to the last chapter, the two-sided world ends when Yuabaha breaks Ichigo's blade again. The chapter title representing the back and forth. However, this is also the chapter where Eisen comes in, and so you have two worlds in that, Ichigo and Eisen and Yuabaha are both the ones who created the two worlds that Ichigo was trapped in their cogs of fate, basically. But also in this chapter they're facing off, so the two-sided worlds are in opposition. Then the chapter after that is the dark side of the two worlds, where Ichigo is the dark side of the moon, and then it's again those two worlds of, because as Radman even pointed out, is Aizen's responsible for his hollow side, and Yobaha's responsible for his Quincy side. So it's like Ichigo. Those are the two worlds, merging inside of Ichigo in a sense. And I also reasoned that like the fact that like it's those 3 chapters are interesting because the first one and the third one aren't the titles don't relate to each other at all, even though they both have like they have the same, like the third one has all the same words, but the second one has meanings that tie to both. So it's I likened it to a moon changing phases basically. So it's like one meaning becomes a different meaning by like so I just thought it was like an interesting discussion. So I thought I'd share that.
Yeah, no, that's because me and Ratman actually talked about the same thing, but it's good that you're presenting that to anyone who's watching. Yeah, really, really like phenomenal stuff. And I guess I'll mention something because this honestly should have been. I wish I had thought about this more in last episode, but I'll go ahead and because I doubt this conversation is going to go very long. Volume 1's pretty short. We don't got much to cover, and to be quite frank, a lot of this podcast has been me and Crafts really trying to go gung ho in the symbolism and try to extrapolate thematic value out of it. This novel, I didn't really like. I guess the visuals really do set me off because I didn't have too much of that. At least on my side for this. I don't know if it's different for you, but at least for me.
See, for me, there was definitely some connections I thought were interesting, comparing them to like the series as a whole. And I do have another observation that's maybe a bit more cultural that might be harder to pick up on if you don't know the specific like concept being referred to.
Like
but so I feel like before we've been going like literally chapter by chapter because at a certain point, like basically after the first like arc or so, like once Kuba finds his footing in Soul Society, like everything becomes really interesting to talk about. So he just kind of like went like from like that. With this novel, I just have a bunch of points highlighted. I'm fine with just jumping around topics rather than trying to go chapter by chapter because it's because I think maybe because it's a novel and because like it's now spelling out, like you said, certain things that have been implied. And that's not to say that there aren't things being implied. Like, there's also just the fact that I think a big difference between us reading this novel and us reading Bleach is that we had read Bleach before and we haven't read Can't Fear Your Own World. So there's a lot of mystery, especially like Hikone, who is, like, the characters continue to describe Hikone as being, like, reminiscent of, like, a blend, like a Soul Reaper, but also, like, a Quincy and a Hollow and a human. Like,
just
they
like
are,
Ichigo.
Exactly, right? And there's definitely some kind of abnormal being because, Tokinada's scheme involves making Hikone into the Soul King, apparently, right? So it's like there might have been other, like, maybe there's other stuff there that we might have picked up on if we knew the full scope of things, but obviously we don't because we haven't read it, right? So there's only, I guess, like, our perspectives are inherently more limited, so it's also reasonable that, like, yeah, there's going to be things we're going to miss in this novel, just because we haven't read it before and read the follow-ups at all either, right? So I think that's normal, but I still have some interesting things to bring up.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I think just talking about as like new readers, I think that's interesting enough because genuinely, like, this is quite refreshing. Getting something brand new that I've never seen before and being able to talk about it, pretty cool. So, but like I said, I'm gonna read this off real quick. This is relevant to Thousand Year Blood War, the ending Thousand Year Blood War stuff. I'll just wrap it up really quickly and we can get on with the actual novel. Okay. So I was at this time I was watching an AJ VOD and he was reacting to White versus Ichigo. It's their confrontation where Ichigo's trying to control his hollow powers.
Yes.
And I noticed something cool when I was watching him react to it. I was like, however, every time Ichigo fights White, he shows him a new technique or a new way to use his repertoire. And immediately after he descends in the second invasion, post Blade is Me, he shows off a new move. It's almost as if White, being a part of Ichigo, is always trying to show him his potential. And Ichigo finally takes hold of it with his true Zanpakuto and abilities that really can't be categorized by traditional metrics of Soul Reapers. He finally grasps the potential of his own unique self, especially showcased in his merging of Getsuga and Sera. Whereas before, even with Getsuga, that was a move that Isshin first cultivated. Ichigo makes it his own after awakening his true Zanpakuto. Also, I think Ishikai/Bankai says something about him having the strength in the formless. Since his powers are a mix of different things, where nothing from one side truly feels whole, this even shown visually in him only having one horn, he acquires transcendental strength despite that, since that more formless state grants him freedom. It expands the capacity of what he can do, since he can tap into multiple strengths. But as we see of his Bankai, While they all may be pieces of different powers, they're all cohesive and strengthen each other through his central zen. Because his blade is literally a blade of like equal black and white, yin and yang. This formless power can only be given form by Ichigo because he is friends with his entire self. I just had a eureka moment on Ichigo's final form because I hadn't thought about it enough. Like I thought about Final Getsuga Tensho for so long, especially in relation now to the Yuha Baha stuff and how he literally mirrors Yuha Baha in even appearance. Mm-hmm. But then after running through this reasoning in terms, especially with the final poem of the Bleach volume, even without form, you'll never stop walking, finding strength in the formless, where hearts collide and stuff. I was thinking, wow, this form really encapsulates a lot of the themes surrounding Ichigo, and it's fucking brilliant. And I was like, wait, dude, Ichigo's true Bankai is better than any other form prior. It's so cool. It's so cool. That's crazy. Yeah, I just wanted to say that because it should have been said last episode. I should have just thought more about it. Literally, I was watching AJ's VOD. I thought about it for 2 seconds. I was like, oh wait, I literally just like a spontaneous, like instantaneous, like boom. Oh, that's what the form means. Oh, brilliant. Anyway.
Yeah. Because I mean, I even just like when I was thinking about how the way you talked about how you mentioned during the Lost Agent arc when, even though he he got his Fullbring powers and then that was reflected in his design as a Soul Reaper, right? So again, that's another example. Like, so even then you were already talking about the idea of like his design evoking how he's come to terms with these various aspects of themselves, but you just didn't, you didn't bring up until just now how that mattered for his Bankai as well, right? So, okay, no, I like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, this was so epic. Hey, I gotta say, when I opened up to Prologue the First, I did not expect to be typing to Radman like literally a page in going, what the fuck? Like, what? This completely changes everything. What the fuck? Like, it's just this casual conversation. It was like, hey, wasn't that kind of funny that as a final contingency we planned to make Ichigo the new Soul King? Isn't that crazy, bro?
Yeah.
Glad it didn't happen. LMAO. It's like, what? What the fuck? That recontextualizes so much. Like I was typing to Rami and I was like, wait. Okay, like this is probably Ichibe's priority. Like obviously Ichigo's strong and like he's got more potential than most Soul Reapers, but for God's sake, probably the primary reason he put Ichigo up there was literally to groom him into the next Reo. That's fucking crazy. Which also adds context to some additional scenes they put in Core 2 anime that I did not, for the life of me, I did not understand at all. But with context of this first volume, I completely get it now. I'm not going to say what it is, but there's some additional scenes when Ichigo's training, and now it's really fucking cool because it ties directly to this. Holy shit. That was like, honestly, that was the first big reveal we get, and I think it was the biggest reveal of this entire, I don't know why, that blew me away. I was like, that's so fucking cool. This blindsided me. I don't know if it was the same experience for you, but I was tripping.
I didn't dwell on it that much, I guess. Cause
really? I was like, that's, bro, I was like, holy shit. Because I feel like you can extrapolate so much cool shit out of that. I just haven't done enough thinking about it.
Okay, I mean, because just off the top of my head, it's like obviously Ichigo is a Quincy, like the Soul King, so and then of course like that's what you were implying earlier with Hikone being made into the Soul King. It's like Hikone's like Ichigo in some way, right? Okay, now that makes sense. Okay, okay, yeah, no, I like I said, I hadn't really thought about it. Well, I guess one thing that I was thinking about from that chapter was how I thought it was ironic that because in that chapter we see at the Ryokyu, Nell, Grimjo, and Halibel are all up there. Because Yobaha took Halibel there, I guess, and then Nell and Grimjo took her back. I just thought it was really ironic that Eisen himself never reached the Ryokyu, even though that was his whole goal. But the people who succeeded him to rule Hekomundo did. So just a little tasty irony, I guess.
Having some little banter.
Mm-hmm. And also I thought the mechanics were interesting because the Squad Zero, they talk about how basically as long as they're all one of them is alive, they can bring the rest back. basically. And so Ichibe is interesting because like he can't die as long as someone is there to speak his name, as we found out about in the Thousand Year Blood War. So I just realized it's like they're basically, through the mechanics of the setting, they are literally the bones of Soul Society in a sense. Like they if they go, that means all of Soul Society is gone. No one no one who remembers Ichibe's name. Everything has to be gone in order for them all to die. And so it's like as far as like Aizen's goal of trying to clean the slate and overthrow Soul Society, it's like, well, yeah, Squad Zero would have to go as well, and like they're also literally the founders of all the mechanics, right? So I just thought it was interesting how deeply baked they are into the world, right? Because like we've been tossing around the ideas of like, oh, like, well, if anyone, but I guess like at the same time, yeah, like they can be replaced, I suppose, because there was the lady who was formerly Shinji's captain, whose name I forgot. She was added into the Squad Zero during the story, so I don't know. It's just interesting to think about.
Yeah, especially given that, like, Ichibe's role as like the leader of Squad Zero seems almost irreplaceable. Especially,
yes, he specifically, yes,
yeah, and then whereas the Soul King seems very replaceable. It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Oh yeah,
dynamic.
Actually, huh.
Very interesting. I need to think about that more, and hopefully I'll.
Well, I think part of it might tie to, because I feel like there's definitely like real life, with like the Japanese emperor, or I've heard that similar like just the way that Chinese emperor in history was also like deified, and like I'm sure you're aware of like there's a particularly notable historical point where the Chinese emperor was like a 2-year-old child because of throne succession. So
no,
basically,
I did not know that. That sounds sick as fuck,
this was in ancient China. So basically, like it's more the idea of like the emperor is a figurehead, right? So so in that way, that like Ichibe is the true ruler of Soul Society, because the Soul King's just like trapped in a shell.
Yeah,
right?
Albeit evidently having something there on its own, I guess with maybe enough energy or the right frequency, will. I mean, literally create balance in the fact that the worlds aren't destroy themselves, right? Because we saw when the Soul King was evicted from his throne, even the world of the living was going, and we see some of the repercussions even of that in this first volume when we go to the world of the living. So,
yeah. Though that said, I mean, we could very easily learn more.
Oh well, but that I guess that. Well, so, yeah, I was going to say, but actually, that I think that actually strengthens your point. What I just said, because having that figurehead there might actually, maintain stability for societies and stuff. Like people praise that figurehead as long as it's a strong, but a 2-year-old, not really the quintessential strong ruler type. So that probably did not work out well for China.
But it was just thinking about how like, because the way they were talking about how it's like a thing, right? Like, because Rayo's dead is the, and that's why Hikone might be able to replace him. But like I was also thinking, because I kind of forgot about it because I skimmed through it just to check something, the Hell one shot, and I kind of completely forgot that Ukitake seems to be the ringleader of the antagonists in the current Hell arc, and so it's like, oh, that character who's very connected to the Soul King, so it's like we might get more context into him and that when we come back to the Hell arc. So it's like, so even aside from what we have yet to learn in Camp in Your Own World, it's like God knows what Kubo's cooking in Hell.
Yeah, that's like actually it's so funny because that's the one thing I remember from the Hell.
Oh, fun! I completely forgot about it because how many years ago did that come out?
Yeah, I only read it the day it dropped, actually.
Same, or soon after, if that. Yeah, so I just.
I'm pretty sure I read it the day the unofficial, like a fine, an acceptable unofficial translation came out. I'm pretty sure I read it because I had just finished my first read of Bleach at the time. Timing. It was really crazy timing. I had just finished Thousand Year Blood War like less than a month prior. It was crazy, and that came out. I was like, oh, there you go. Anyway, yeah.
So I'm kind of waiting. I feel like I want to talk about Tokinada last because he's definitely like the most interesting point I have to discuss. So another smaller point I have to, because one, I think Hisagi, because like, they talk about how he's very like acclimated to like human world culture, and it's like he has a motorcycle, right? Like he's very. And I also thought it was interesting because he runs the journalism department at Soul Society. Like and that's used as like for the story because he's going around and interviewing.
He's a world of the living weeb. He's a world of the living weeb. He's even got the 69 joke on it, dude. That should have told us all along. He's
oh my god!
He's like a World of the Living middle schooler living as an adult Soul Reaper. That's crazy. I didn't even think about it.
But yeah, no, it's just like an interesting little flavor for his character. I don't know if it like recontextualizes anything from earlier. Maybe it was mentioned before, and like I just completely forgot. And they're also very clear about, I guess, setting up the foundation for his arc. Like they talk about how he's like a model Soul Reaper, and he like how he's comparing himself to like Ichigo and I like Tosen and like all these other characters. Like he doesn't have the wisdom of or the I'd have to find the list again. But just talking about how he's kind of
that's really
unremarkable cool in a way, and which is interesting to think about how they might expand on that.
I'm interested to see the hype in action because I really do like that quote. It runs by at least 2 times, maybe 3 times that he's not as strong as Zaraki Kenpachi. He doesn't have the potential of Ichigo Kurosaki. All that stuff. I like that. I was like, okay, I feel like we're going to be leading somewhere here where like Hisagi with like he utilizes his own unique strength. It's not potent, but it very well may be the perfect counter for the situation. I'm really interested to see where that goes. I'm sure, knowing that Camp for Your Own World has been hyped up, I'm sure it's going to go somewhere really, really cool for Hisagi.
And especially like going more into his relationship with Tosen and how like what elements of his captain is he going to take from in regard, because they do some they have a line that very specifically says like or mentions something about like implying Tosen. I mean, especially because I feel like it, maybe it was directly stated. I don't remember, but they do explore, like the volume ends with Tosen being approached by Eisen, but right, so because like the way they explain it in Soul Society, with it's like, oh, Eisen's power works based on illusions, so he had to get the blind captain on his side. Like the implication of like Soul Society coming to realize Tosen's working with Eisen. It's like Eisen recruited him because of his powers, which implies that, but in reality, Tosen, like Gin, joined Soul Society already part of Eisen's group, right? Like they never betrayed Soul Society. They were always working with Eisen, which sort of feeds into this how they sort of fit into the same, like, because with Eisen he had this fake persona that he had at Soul Society, and then he revealed his true self, right? Like he told Hitsugaya, he's like, you never knew the real me, or that's not the exact line, but you know what I mean. But like Tosen and Gin were the same way, like they were also not being understood.
Something like Gin the Soul guys and you knew never existed or something.
Yes, that's the line. Thank you. You remembered it better than I did.
I just kind of
it's closer. I don't know if it's
that might be it. Actually, I don't know.
But basically, like, how, like, because I don't remember. Again, I don't remember if that was directly stated or mentioned back in the manga. But Tosen was joined Soul Society with Eisen in or you know what I'm trying to say. Words are hard.
The implication was definitely what we thought was that he was already a Soul Reaper.
Yes.
And Eisen kind of slithered his way in there, but I definitely prefer this because it shows us that the relationship was a lot more natural because both of them essentially wanted the same thing. They were in kind of similar positions. They both wanted to change something in the system. Mm-hmm. So
like I think having Tokinada being the person who basically drove Tosen to like wait,
I'm so sorry, Carl. I'm so sorry I'm interrupting you right now.
No, go ahead.
I literally just said because they both want to change the system. Well, Tokinada, I'm not going to talk about him later. Tokinada does too. All 3 of them do. All 3 people, like in this sequence of events, all want to change the system in some way. Tokinada is just even more ruthless than Eisen, somehow.
Okay.
Tokinada definitely operates in a similar vein as Eisen, and he's really ambitious in his momentum to want to really change something. Because his whole volition is based around the fact that do I want to get into this now? Because you were saying you wanted to talk about Tokinada later. I'll wait on it, actually. I'll hold that note for later when we're getting on into that discussion. But for now, Jesus. Sorry.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. My internet went off, and then now it's back. And I couldn't connect to my cellular data. I don't know why my computer's not picking. Usually it'll pick it up, but it's not picking it up today for whatever reason. So hopefully it doesn't happen again. I'm sorry about that, everyone. Okay. I don't know. What was the last thing you heard me say?
You were talking about Eisen and Tosen and Tokinada and all wanting to change the system and...
yeah, but then I think I'm going to save that because you said you wanted to talk about Tokinada.
No, yeah.
So I'll save that for later.
I thought you were going to talk about something else, but I forget what it was. I guess to bring up something is I remember we were talking before about like the symbolism with the light and the clouds and stuff, and I think Oskin had his own reading, but they mentioned how, or I guess what I got, Tokinada's the clouds obscuring and Kakyo had been the light, right? So I guess that's what I took from the reading about that in the novel. So
yeah,
but yeah. Not to take away from Oskin's reading, I just don't remember what it was.
I mean, I had my reading too at the time as well, and I think my reading also coincides with that reading too. I don't think they counteract each other at all.
Yeah.
And by the way, I was going to say earlier, I'm glad I remembered now before we got further. You were mentioning him, being a world of the living weeb, having like a motorcycle and all this stuff. This is something this first novel does really well, and I assume it's going to keep the trajectory is going to keep going. But how it like expands on little things, like now we know how Urahara literally makes a living, because Hisagi is talking about how he spends most of his extra income.
Yes.
Or he doesn't have any extra income, rather, because he spends it all on getting things from the world of living converted into reishi so that he can have them in the Soul Society. And it's all thanks to Urahara, and he pays Urahara to do this. So we know now how Urahara makes a living, is like he does shit. I mean, he does other shit too. I mean, he literally sells random shit to people in the world of living too, like Karin is one of them. But now, like, we're getting, because like, how many people in the world of living is he selling shit to? Like, really? Like, is he that badass of a con artist?
No.
I always pictured that he was like kind of broke, but I mean, if he's also selling to people in the Soul Society, like, yeah, he must be packing. He must got a nice fat safe somewhere. Well, then again, but now that I'm thinking about it, I guess that wouldn't have been the case before he got more cozy with the Soul Society. After the Soul Society arc, right? So I guess he would have been more broke boy scammer guy with the ghost repellent before that. Okay, anyway, well, whatever. I just like that we're getting more context on like what Urahara does on like a more of a mundane daily basis. I think it's kind of cool. I like the little tidbit of world building personally. Just like
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as other tidbits, it was interesting. So when Hisagi was interviewing Ganju, they bring up, because like obviously last we see Chad in the manga, he's like, I'm gonna clear a pathway back for Ichigo, and he's fighting all the dudes with Ganju, and then we don't get a follow up to that until the last chapter when he's boxing, but we do get the follow up here, and it where like because Ganju is because Ichigo found his way back down to Soul Society without needing like that path cleared, right, and so there's a little line about how Chad like he like smiled, like he was satisfied, he was glad that it was over. And I was just thinking about how just the more Chad being just a cool guy, because like Ganju got kind of indignant where it's like, oh, we put on all this effort to make sure that the path was clear back for you guys, but then you guys proceeded to not take that path back. But Chad is just genuinely like he's glad that his friends are good, right? So even if he's not needed, like what matters is that his friends are safe and happy, right? So I was just thinking about how it's like just just Chad being just a cool guy where he's not like oh no, my effort was wasted. It's like no, he's just very genuine, and he like there's no obligation or half-hearted kindness there or anything. He's just a cool guy. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, nice. I do want to, because my notes are, by the way, in order. So
mine are too, but I highlighted the ones that I wanted to talk about specifically. So.
Okay, yeah, I do want to talk about just in the second prologue with Eisen Hisagi. The one note I did take, because obviously we get some cool talks, we get some cool reveals. Not reveals necessarily, but just the entire conversation is cool. Eisen says something interesting. He says, if you want to see the truth, you must sacrifice your flesh, blood, and soul.
Yes, I also like that line.
It's really interesting because he essentially did that. And so did Tosen. But so did Ichigo in a sense. But for Eisen, it was all to break through boundaries and uncover the world. Where Ichigo took the opposite approach, uncovering more within. And through that, he obtains power that seems to go beyond worldly comprehension in its manifestation. And even facing Eisen, again against Yhwach, he's like a new person because he uncovered even more about himself, therefore gaining the ability to take on the world more aptly. Eisen couldn't conquer the world because he hadn't even conquered himself. He had too many fears still going unchecked and externalized. And as we know, you can't fear your own world.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I found that symbolism really, really cool because I was thinking of like Ichigo's whole path has been inward, whereas Aizen's was the opposite. And for him to say, I don't know, I just thought about him and Ichigo's journey. And I was like, oh, can't fear your own world. That's like Aizen's fault. Oh, and then and this is, I think, the cool part about that. I add at the end here. So in actuality, Eisen isn't talking down to Hisagi in this scene. He's actually speaking from recent experience. Rather, he's talking so much because he's empathetic to Hisagi's plight, where Hisagi kind of feels powerless. He kind of feels, I don't know. I feel like Eisen really is being empathetic in this scene. I don't think he's being as haughty and taunting and like holier than thou, or I mean, superior to thou than the typical reader may think reading this. I genuinely think
that's Eisen, right? Like, because he comes across that way, but like, as we've talked about, he does legitimately like, want better for those who he challenges, right? Even if he does so in a less than great means, right? But it's like, well, his intent is there, So, yeah. Well, I was actually going to bring up how I thought there was an interesting omission there, or something that was not included. Sacrifice flesh, blood, and soul, but don't sacrifice your heart. Let's go.
Hey, true. He learned.
Yeah, because like at this point, he did make that bond with Ichigo. He does have a heart finally, right? He's not alone anymore. So just So just a little tidbit I noticed from that line, that because I did also highlight that as a good line. So Aizen's full of them. So yeah.
Always. Oh, something else that like kind of took me aback is like the author casually dropping that like, oh, we knew that, Kyan kind of died, and he didn't have to die necessarily. It was kind of his dumb pride. I say dumb pride. Obviously, there's more context there.
Yes.
And then, Ishin skedaddled for wifey queen.
Because we were. I believe there was some discussion about like, the Shiba family and stuff, but it's like, oh no, the fucking Shiba family was kicked out of the families because of
them. We never got this information before.
Bitch, motherfucker.
It's like
bitch.
What? And this is. I feel like this novel in a nutshell is like, it just kind of like. There's another one I want to mention later about Hitsugaya too. It's just like this author's just like, it reminds me of that scene. It's the same energy of Attack on Titan spoilers, guys. Skip to wherever if Craftsy wants to edit it in. If not, get spoiled.
I mean, the funny part is you're probably going to spoil me, but go ahead.
Oh shit!
I don't care. I don't care. Go ahead. I mean, not because I'm disinterested, but because I just don't care about spoilers.
I'm not going to be too particular. It's just the Reiner and Bronze scene with.
I know. I think
with Eren. I'm the I
know about that. So you're not spoiling me there. I'm familiar with that. So
or Bertolt, that's his name.
I know.
Full name. That's his name.
I'm familiar with the scene. Yeah.
That's his.
I remember when that chapter dropped and people just reacting to it and just like, because it just happens out of nowhere and it's
and it's like this crazy, and it's just like so casually exposited. And it just gives me that, and every like little reveal is like, oh, and then they fell out of grace largely due to Ishin's blunder and running away and ghosting the Soul Society, and maybe Kyan had something to do with this. Like, what the fuck? We didn't know it was because of this shit. What the fuck? And then we do later get even more. They talk about it again, and where it seems to be, it's mostly to do with Ishin, Ishin's stuff. Whereas Kyan probably already put them. The implication is like Kyan's death kind of already put them on like kind of bad raps, because I think Kaien is part of the main branch, but then now we got or he's part of the main family, and then Isshin being right. Isshin's like the branch, part of the branch family.
I don't remember actually, because
I think it's
also,
Isshin. I think Kaien along with Kukaku, right? Is that her name?
Kukaku's Ganji's older sibling, sister.
I think they're the main family. They're part of the main family, Kaien included, and Isshin was the branch. So now we got like the one of the probably the successor. Probably he's probably going to be the successor, given that he was the older brother, and he dies, kind of a unfortunate random death. And then now we got probably the head first gung ho, like the most esteemed member of the branch family, just fucking skedaddling. That makes sense. So it's a cool context, but it seemed like Isshin really was like the last straw kind of thing. It was like, okay, fuck you guys, you're out of here. You're tainted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. It was just pretty casually mentioned. No,
Okay.
I guess because go ahead.
And I just wanted to mention, I fucking love I did not expect we were going to be going everywhere in this novel. And I love the fact that we're seeing Wakamundo, we're seeing fucking the world of the living. We do Mizuru and Keigo, they're there. They're just like, oh shit, hey, the boys. And yeah, it's cool. No Ichigo though. No Ichigo to be seen, and I would imagine that's going to stay consistent for this entire series.
Yeah, which I don't mind, because it's like we got plenty of him. We don't.
If I was writing, honestly, if I was writing, I wouldn't put Ichigo in here either. So I'm going to assume Ichigo is not in any of these.
Because it's getting the fact that human world stuff is going to come into play later, because we didn't get much development there, but I just think like the fact that execution has been brought up at all in the way it's being brought up with Ginjo being like, wait, what the fuck? Who took my name, the name of my group, and is using it for this fucking weird ass cult that knows all the details about Soul Society and the afterlife and is explaining it in the human world? Like, that's just a really interesting way to sort of
and the
explore the setting, I guess.
It's almost like it's confirmed without being actually. It's as close to confirmation as you can get without truly being confirmed that Tokinada was the perpetrator that started Ginjo's downfall as a substitute Soul Reaper. That's crazy.
God, and what's and just wondering well, why would he even fucking do that, right? I don't know what's his end game here. We kind of we don't really fully know. Is Hikone only part of the end game, or is that the end game? Well, God fucking knows. No, it's just it's interesting setup, and for sure, and it's just it's really cool.
I cannot wait to get more of the full. That's the stuff that I'm most excited for. I'm excited to see the resolution with Ginjo, because I love we both love the Lost Age arc.
It's great.
Getting some closure there. I did not expect we would be getting. We're obviously going to get closure there even in the world of living, the execution shit too, right? Yeah, you just mentioned. So we're I did not expect it. We're going to be getting closure on the Fullbringers stuff. That's crazy. That's cool. That's really cool. I didn't know I needed it until it was thrusted in front of me, and I was like, oh, maybe we did need this shit. Didn't even think about it.
I was, because I've been wondering, because the way they show up much earlier that because there's that first early scene with Ganju and the backsides of the Fullbringers that he rounded up, but of the three characters, really only Tsukishima is relevant in the actual final parts of the manga. Ginjo's there and he has a line. I don't even fucking remember the butler guy's name right now for some reason. But he's just he's just there, right? He doesn't, so I imagine that their inclusion in Camp Fear Own World is partly to do the because maybe I imagine there was some other follow-ups there that Kubo is intending to get to, but obviously trimmed because for various reasons to finish the manga. So yeah, and I guess I'll also just as far as other follow-ups is getting the little Huecamundo fight between the Arrancar and the Quincy, where it's just natural enemies up against each other, there was a little tidbit that how they can no longer use the Volstern Dick, or however you pronounce it, their transformations, and they even allude to how it's because Ryuken developed an alternative version of that form. That's not deferent to Yoabaha, like as a Quincy who because like as we found out, like Ryuken is very much against Yobaha and his shtick. Like, oh, he made his own version of this form that's more flawed in some ways, but it's not like, yeah, Yobaha is down and they can still use that, but the Yobaha's Quincy's cannot use that form anymore. So it's just a neat little detail that feeds into what we already knew about Ryuken and his modus operandi. I guess, with being anti-Yobaha. So yeah, that was a cool little tidbit.
More Ryuken stuff is always, as I think everyone knows,
yes.
on the podcast, I'm a huge Ryuken fanboy. So
we also got to answer your question because with Bambi wanted Gazelle's blood because that's important to her as a zombie. I guess they did explicitly mention that. So
Epic.
Yeah, good. But yeah, aside from that, I don't think I have much to talk about except for Tokinada. So
let's see if I have
anything else.
I think I have more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Oh, I want to say Hanataro focus so based. Thank you, author. I don't know if it was Kubo that was like, hey, I want more Hanataro because I don't think I focused enough on him and he's a cool cat, or like the author himself was like, hey. Well, no, it was probably Kubo because his big brother Seinosuke is his name. I think, right?
Yeah, Seinosuke. Yes.
Seinosuke is like a big part of the final stuff in this last novel, and it was really interesting.
Oh,
really interesting.
Okay. I didn't know about that. I mean, I could imagine just because it's like, well, what?
No. I meant final stuff in this first volume. He's a big part of. That's what.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
yeah,
right.
Okay.
And also, Yamada was included. He was also another character included. Like he was there on the fucking Ryokyu, the palace at the end. Like he went through the like he was there with Kurasuchi and Kenpachi. And then he just kind of, like if there was going to be a moment of focus on him, it didn't happen. So, so him being included in Camp Fury, I'm just noticing, like, or it's very clear to me that like a lot of the characters who are getting focused in Camp Fury World are ones that didn't get that resolution in the series, right? So,
good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Kubo. It was definitely probably Kubo that was like, hey, do this. I mean, he did outline the majority of this from what I understand, but
yes. Oh, and I guess I didn't mention earlier, but so I've never read any other of the novels written by Ryogo Narita, but I have watched Baccano and Durarara, which are his two of his most well-known works, basically.
Yeah, I watched Durarara in middle school.
Yeah, I did. I watched it a few years ago with Mathwiz, and it's still pretty good. I had quite a bit of fun with it. And Baccano is also a good time.
Too, yeah. I'm due for a rewatch, obviously, because I don't remember a lot.
Also, Baccano is also good to watch dubbed because it takes place. The dub is really solid, and it takes place in like most of it takes place in like 1920s or 30s era like America. So like the English really fits. So yeah, I had a fun time with it. I think we talked about it on the Weep Club and did a whole discussion about it.
Would you recommend someone like me watch it?
Yeah, it's not. It's only like 15 episodes. It's an interesting show. Okay. And it also takes place. It takes place in the same setting as Durarara. Like there's two characters from Baccano who cameo in Durarara. So it's basically an Easter egg, but it's a funny because they're fun characters in Baccano. So you just get that little extra like, oh cool, I know those characters, So yeah, it's a fun time.
All right.
But anyway. But again, I haven't.
Yeah. I still remember that opening.
It's Durarara's a really good time too. They're solid shows.
Nice. Let's see here.
But again, I have not read any of the novels, and they would be translated anyway. So yeah. Obviously, I mean, I don't know why I said that. That's kind of inferred.
You're good. You're good. Wait. Okay. This is something I wrote. I was just kind of laughing at my own note because I genuinely don't remember. I don't know how to remind me of what we know about the death of Nanoo's mother from the manga.
Oh, she was the woman who
I know she had a close relation with Koraku, right? Yeah, and then
yes,
I mean she was supposed to wed literally his older brother. I remember that, but I don't remember
gotcha.
The context surrounding her death for some reason.
That's actually fuck. I don't. No, wait, hold on. Because I remember it was like his Bankai is like in reference to the death of his brother and her because it was like the suicide basically or something like that. Fuck, I don't remember either. Never mind.
Well, yeah, because Tokinada was referencing it. Well, no, because he was talking about when she was being executed, because he was saying like,
oh yeah, okay.
Well, no, wait. He was saying wait, think, hot boy, think. I think he was saying like if she was in that it was I think it was like a what if scenario. He was like, if she was about to be executed, and just like Rukia was when Ichigo was here, would you be like Ichigo and like break down the scaffold to save her? No, you wouldn't, because you would do your utmost instead to protect Nano. I know that about you. That's, I think, what it was. So that's not in reference like she was being executed. I don't think it was. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember if it was even stated how she died, which I feel like is very, very important. The fact that I don't remember it makes me kind of frustrated with myself that I don't remember. But fuck, guys, I'm lacking.
Yeah.
Got too much shit on my mind lately. Sorry.
It's I mean, like, it's been over a month since we've read that material, so and it bleaches a lot, so it's like, I mean, that's like I kind of feel that way with any long form manga. It's like, because you know, just to have all of it memorized at all times is obviously like, you know, that's not going to happen, right? So
yeah, but I'm trying to be a clubologist here, bro. I can't go I can't go forgetting right.
Like major character stuff for a major character. Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. No.
I will
when I go through all this section again via the anime, I'll have my answer.
Okay.
Or literally just DM Radman. That's fine too. Or literally or just actually like take the time to find the chapter again and go back. But, you know,
I'm literally scrolling through trying to do that very same thing right now.
Oh, nice. Thank you for doing the work for me. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's right. There was the curse with the sword.
Oh yeah, and then everyone like dies randomly because of it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because let's see. Yeah, she was sent back to her family. You know, there was the curse, and she wanted to keep Nana away from the curse, and yeah.
So she just died kind of tragically, then, I guess, is the implication.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah, I might have skimmed over the exact death, but because so I missed it, but
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not relevant anyway because I did my own recollecting, and I remembered. Oh yeah, because he literally compared it to Ruki and Ichigo, and I even remember him saying, you know, like, if you were like Ichigo in that situation, would you go save her if she was being executed? No, you wouldn't. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. It's not like literally it happened. So.
Still good to remember some of these things, maybe, because I mean, there was the implication because Tokinada made a snide little comment about how he understands what Kyoraku's ability is, right? So because and of course his Bankai is literally tied to, you know, his Ohana is basically like Nanao's mom, but, you know, still around because, you know, he has I think I remember that being brought up in some of the comments that his other sword, his second sword, is like from her connected
that's
to
why,
her,
because
they, so yes,
Ichigo is like the only Soul Reaper that has a legitimate 2 Zanpakuto coming from just within his own soul. Kyoraku, his one of his Zanpakuto represented the weapon he was carrying for Nanao, and then Ukitake was the
Soul
right hand
King.
of the Soul King.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
that's what one of them was. So both represented 2 different kind of souls, I guess, in essence.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You could see that as like him holding on to Nanao's mother's soul to eventually let Nanao inherit, kind of thing. So anyway, speaking of Kyoraku, though, I have to mention I love that I fucking geeked out because I'm a big Kyoraku stan. Kyoraku is like honestly maybe top 5. I think he is top. I love Kyoraku. I love his character.
He's great.
Actually, yeah, without a doubt, he's top 5 for me. I love the explanation of how his spiritual pressure feels. Oh my god, that is perfect for like what his Bankai resonates with. Like the description is, it's like being submerged in cold ice, like a dark abyss, and it's cold. Like, bro, that is a really good description. I love that. Yeah, I was kind of geeking. Just a cool factor moment. But let's see what I have here. What did I write here? Oh, yeah, I found it interesting that when he's talking to Tokinada, like, not even Eisen was capable of making a Kyoraku respond that aggressively over just words.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
no.
like
Um,
Tokinada cuts into both Nanao and Kyoraku by talking about her mother, and like he does it with like ease. Just like he might actually have an even smoother tongue than Eisen in that regard.
yeah. Well, so yeah. No, so I guess are we gonna start getting into Tokinada now? Is that
Um,
or
let's see here. Oh no, because I gotta mention this. Okay,
okay.
Kraus. I don't know if you caught this. I caught this. I don't know if it's a translation thing, but okay. So they mention when they're talking about, I think, it's Hollybell when she's describing Hikone and how they fight and just everything surrounding them, and there are like multiple spiritual pressures. Hollybell mentions it's not like Hitsugaya where his body matured he had matured into a body that still had the appearance of a child's. And that to me, like, it stun locked me because a soul reaper that had matured into a body that still had the appearance of a child's, like, isn't that a little bit of a different connotation than what we thought? At least I
Huh.
assumed in Thousand Year Blood War that his final form was him like literally force aging himself up because he had to maintain the power.
Oh,
But
I don't remember getting
this,
that. I just okay. But go
well,
ahead.
okay, what was your interpretation of that?
Oh, I mean, I just thought it was like or hold on, what did I write down? Because I didn't because I remember him saying he didn't like the form. Hold on, where's my notes for?
Yeah, because again, it has to do with like that exterior, like oh he's matured, but Hitsugaya he got humbled immensely by his by the stuff in Fate Karakura to the point where he had this whole entire character arc that was about like um, trying to find wisdom and being okay with being a child and being like uh, inexperienced to the point where we even see at the beginning of Thousand Year Blood where he's like, oh, got to start from scratch. Okay, let's do it. I'm a learner now. He's ultimately humbled because he knows he has so much room to grow, and he finally. Whereas prior to that, he was always trying to. His exterior always read like, "Oh, look at me, I'm a captain." Even when people are talking to him casually, it's like that's Captain Hitsugaya to you. People are calling him Toshiro. He's like, "You mean Captain Hitsugaya, right?" In the flashback, he's doing a bunch of paperwork. He's getting all the work done. He wants people to see him as the big boy
Yes.
captain, but he's still growing. He's still good. So I always saw that as like, oh, now he understands. Like, oh, I do have a lot to grow. Like, I do have a lot to learn. Like, I got defeated. I got humbled, and so he doesn't like that form because it's like it's literally the opposite of the new path he's trying to walk in. That he's found solace with the fact that he still has a lot of room to grow. He's fine with that now. But him being literally aged up is like kind of a spitting in that new path's face in essence, right? That's what my interpretation of why he doesn't like it. So when I see this quote, maybe it's just me being retarded when I read it like this. Like, it's not like Hitsugaya who's a soul reaper that matured into a body that still had the appearance of a child. Maybe she's saying like, oh, he's just very mature for his age, but he's still got the body of a child. Maybe that's what it means. I was reading it like literally though, and I was like, what? Is this like a new revelation? I don't know.
No, I mean, just to say I mean, I don't think you're wrong about your reading of Hitsugaya, but I'd like to add on to it, like, because, Bankais are meant to be, like, represent an understanding of the self, right? So I think, like, Hitsugaya, like, the fact that he does recognize that he has room to grow, and it is him becoming more mature, so like, basically, the fact that his Bankai turns him into an adult is a representation of the fact that he is actually, he has now become more mature than he was at the, because especially like because not even just fake Karakura Town, even in Soul Society, he had the air of someone who like he believed he was smarter and more aware of things than he really was, right? So just Eisen as a whole just humbled him, right? So the fact that so I think you're right, but I was just more reading it as the symbolism kind of different in that like inwardly he is mature, he is an adult, right? And the fact that he recognizes his limits is part of that, I guess.
Oh yeah, well okay, so
It,
what you're saying is what I would say is true, and what you're saying is true, and I think that's what you're
yes.
saying too.
Yes. Yes.
My only question is, and I completely agree with you, the fact that like it's a showcase that oh no, he is now like he has matured greatly to the fact that he might even be ahead of his age quite extensively, to where he literally looks like an adult in his ultimate form, because this is his true self that he's exposing in reality, since that's what Bankai is. It's an extension of your true self. However, my question is not regarding that. It's like, it's literally just Holly Bell's quote. And I should probably just find the exact quote.
Yeah, I don't remember the quote. Is probably also part of the problem with the discussion.
Yeah, look here if the wiki.
I guess it would be easy.
Says anything. Because it really caught me off guard. I was like, what do you mean by Hitsugaya is a soul reaper that had matured into a body that's still the appearance of a child? Like, does that mean literally, or do you mean how you see it? Like, because he seemed very mature for his little
was it later
body.
on, or was it earlier on?
It was right after the fight. It was I think it was right after the Hikone, when Hikone comes back, and then we go and Hikone is getting healed, and then we transition back to Hueco Mundo, and we see like the aftermath of the battle on their side.
Okay, I think I'm at that area because
I think that's the order of events.
Wait. Hold on, because I'm seeing her talk about Hitsugaya in comparison to Hikone, but I'm trying to.
That would be it. Yeah, that would be it.
Because I see her talking about Hikone, but not mentioning that line about Hitsugaya.
Definitely. I definitely did not make this up. Okay, I did not.
Because just to read what I'm reading is like, because Holibel, the Soul Reaper's physical strength and spiritual pressure were definitely on the same level as a Soul Reaper captain, referring to Hikone, and physical ability alone that Soul Reaper might compare to the Ice Guy. I thought.
Okay, no, it's after that. I remember. It's after.
Yeah,
that.
So she says not that Soul or well, because she's saying because the guy Apache mentioned how like, oh, so they sent a captain here. The implicate like because he's thinking that Hikone is a captain. But Halibel thinks that Hikone didn't have an experience to be a captain. Like she's not talking about Hitsugaya, she's talking about Hikone. At least
but she. Okay, wait. I gotta look at this now.
I'm on page. It's page 138 is where I am.
I gotta pull out the old iPad. Can't fear your own world. That's the interlude.
Okay, those were her last lines
so
in
it's
the
on
novel,
page what?
So
Sorry?
it must have been earlier. I'm at 138, which were her last lines in a novel, but that can't... Yeah, so it must have been earlier than that.
Oh, you're on 138. Let me just check 138 real quick. Wait, what? Okay, 138 is not the same for me.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because... Well, I'm on... Okay, so I'm not in my physical book. I'm in a PDF. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's.
It was the one that was in Radman's Bleach supplemental material.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at like I'm looking at like the official page numbers.
Okay, because I own the physical book, but I was control Fing, so I wanted the.
Wait, control F. Wait, control F.
On a PDF, yeah.
Type in. So I think this is like a literal. Almost a verbatim quote I put here. Let me look. Just type in matured into a body and see if anything comes up.
Oh, wait, hold on. Furthermore, it didn't look like there was... Okay, so, hold on. Oh, yeah, no, this is... yeah, okay. No, it's... Okay, that's what's... Yeah, it was... Hisagi talking with Seinosuke, not Halibel. That's why I couldn't find it. I was looking for... I looked through Halibel's quotes. So, so let me read the line. Okay. There, nice. So yeah, Hisagi's talking with Seinosuke, and probably which means they would have had Hikone's body. Hikone would have been there. Yes, Hikone talks a little while later, but basically, so there were multiple things he couldn't ignore as a Soul Reaper, such as a gravely injured child coming out of something that resembled a gargantua. Furthermore, it didn't like this looked like... Okay, so this was a situation where a Soul Reaper had matured into a body that still had the appearance of a child's, as with Hitsugaya. Okay, so this person looked like... So basically saying Hikone actually looks like a kid, where Hitsugaya or no, sorry, this person looks like as though they're actually a child. So basically, Hitsugaya is matured but looks like a child, where Hikone is literally a child.
Yeah,
and
okay. Because I thought that might have been literal, but
no, okay, well,
maybe it's not. Maybe it's not.
Well, because it's, I guess, like, yeah, no, because I mean, from what I remember about like, there was a line early on in the Soul Society stuff about how, like, the residents of Soul Society don't age unless they use their spiritual pressure, basically. Basically you exist in a form of permanence, and like you don't. If I remember correctly, you don't even need to eat unless you use your spiritual pressure, basically. So, because I vaguely remember that being a thing.
I don't remember that, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. It was months ago now since we reread that, but so that would, like, so the implication would be there is that, because, like, obviously, like, Yamamoto is really old after 2,000 years, right? So he's very long lived as a Soul Reaper, but that's also him because he's using spiritual pressure. Where in theory, someone could just stay in the Rukongai and not do anything and just be that same age for a very long period of time. I guess that is the implication I took. So I guess if that's the case, and, like, because there are, like, Hitsugaya and Rukia and Hiyori from the Vizards, it's like they still maintain the appearance of children, of younger people, even though they are older, right? So maybe that's just a thing that happens, I guess. I don't know. Because they don't really explain it; they just bring it up. So I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it as, at least I'll maybe ask Radman later too, because I haven't yet. I want to post it here first. But I'll just say I'm gonna take it not literally right now, where it's like metaphorically, Hitsugaya is more mature for his little body, because because at the same time it's like I don't remember the stuff, like they literally don't physically age if they don't give. But, like, Hitsugaya is constantly, he's a fucking captain. He's constantly using
pressure. They all are. Yeah, as Soul Reapers.
But even still, like, we know that they age slower by design, being in the Soul Society. So I don't know. It's that. To me, it's taking the literal approach in this context just is very weird. It poses a lot of weird things for me. So I'm gonna take it more metaphorically for now. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's unlocked us for a long time. I'm sorry.
You're fine. Anyway.
I don't think we ever until this final ouchie by Tokinada. I don't think we ever fucking knew that Byakuya moved the execution date up himself. Like, he personally moved the execution date up after getting the orders from, like, he is the one who relayed the message from the council. Mm-hmm. Like, he personally did that. Like, he had direct involvement in the process, is what I'm trying to say. Whereas before, I think most of us probably assumed that
he was just like a passive agent,
passive force, saying, like, okay, whatever the law says. No, like, he took direct orders from the council and then passed them and said, hey, we're doing this. That's fucking crazy. That's, damn. Tokinada knew that. He was like, hey, Byakuya, remember when you did this? Isn't that kind of funny, bro? Damn, Jesus.
Yeah.
And then just in general, like, from all the, it's a nice breath of fresh air to get, like, the full context of the political landscape and how the noble families now see, whereas before, I'm gonna be real, I didn't really mention this in the podcast, but, like, everything other than Rukia joining and what that did for her relationship with Renji, and I guess to an extent Byakuya too. With Byakuya, it was not even really the family; it was more so his direct lineage, like his parents, rather than the family itself. Like, I didn't like the upper echelon, the nobles had no weight in the narrative to me. I did not care. I guess that's why I never mentioned it, because I didn't care. The story didn't give me anything to care about. But now Tokinada, now the presence of the noble families are there. Now they're, like, squarely a huge part of Bleach now, in just one of these first the first novel here. I think it's really cool. I think it's great that we're getting that for the noble families, because they were a part of Bleach. It's just they weren't, you know.
No, yeah. I mean, like, the fact, we get Byakuya and Yoriichi. It's like, we knew that these characters were part of the noble families, but, like, that aspect was only so important, basically. Like, like but no, yeah, this novel's definitely going into it. Yeah, and I was even because someone asked me if because like yeah, the nobles have always been there, and there's always been this corruption at the core of Soul Society. But I don't know. Someone even asked me, it's like, do you think Bleach is a story about like trying to change the system or whatever? And I thought about it. It's like I realized that's actually more of a take from like it's sort of the same like Naruto's about hard work versus talent, where it's like I could see someone walking away from that if they've only like primarily like were engaged with Bleach with Soul Society, but really it's not like, especially like because I was like mentally comparing it to like One Piece and Naruto, where it's like, because One Piece is obviously like the system is fucked and needs to be torn down. Naruto is more about like changing the flawed system from within it, and it's still about that. Like the fucking Boruto opens with the flash forward, like where it's like, do ninjas need to exist, right? Like that's what it will question later on.
Yeah.
Where Bleach, I feel like it's more about changing yourself, and that can't like Soul Society does change, but it's not like that's Ichigo's goal or anything, right? It's like it's more of just a symptom of him changing himself, right?
They're actually half right in that the villains are always trying to externally change the system.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas Bleach, in the root of its thematic value, is the fact that, well, no, it's the opposite. It's that you create change by drastically changing your murky self inward, right?
Yes.
That's like the message that Bleach is cultivating. So it is funny that they're like kind of half right in terms of the messaging. It's just that they're thinking from the villain's perspective.
No, yeah, I think it's just like the focus is different, right? Because I think in comparison, like Naruto is much more like critical about like the faults of the previous generations and fixing them, where Soul Society's shittiness is just kind of like there. It's just a part of the world. It's not like Ichigo's like, I'm gonna change the corruption and the aristocratic class and the Central 46. It's like no, he does not care. It's not really a priority for him at all, but yeah, that is at least coming into the forefront, because like I guess I'm just gonna start talking about Tokinada, because like he is very much like a personification of everything wrong with Soul Society in like the best way possible, because he's such a piece of shit and he's great.
But like not only that, like he knows exactly what he's doing, and it really does seem to be leaning more toward, I'm going to do it because I know I can get away from it. And isn't it really dumb that I can get away with it, guys? It's very Eisen pilled.
Because you mentioned him like wanting to change things, and it's like I don't even think I got that out of it. I think it's more like he's fine with things.
He very much does, because again, he wants to change the entire set. He wants the noble families to take precedence over the council. He wants to create a literal new Soul King, which means he wants a new world in some aspect. If he's going to fundamentally change the Soul King, that means it's going to be some kind of new world. He wants to change things, 100%.
Well, I guess I was reading it as like less of him, like, because like, compared to like Eisen and Yuabaha, where they're seeing fundamental problems with the world of the Soul Reapers and desiring that to change. I feel like Tokinada is more changing things to better suit himself.
It's not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I should have liked, because I agree with you there. It's very much like self-satiating.
Because like there's the line he has in chapter 1 with talking about like Tosen and stuff, where he's talking about the unfairness of the world, right? But then he flips that up, because there's like that sympathy ploy with Tosen, right? Because Tosen's blind and doesn't recognize that he's literally talking to his Kakyo's killer, right? But then Tokinada like flips it, and he mentions how like the world's unfair. But he's fine with that, because the unfairness benefits him. He's the ruling class. He's at the top. He's the 1%, right? So it's like, of course, he's going to be fine with how things are, because he gets the most out of it.
But there is also that line too. I think, and maybe it's in that conversation, but he does mention what is the line? I think I wrote it here. No, I did not write it here. I know I wrote it so. Oh, nothing in this world is precious, especially in the Soul Society, where everything is a fraud.
Yes.
Very apt, coming from the new face of aristocracy after murdering his way to the top. He
literally kills fucking everybody in his family just to get on the top seat. Yeah. Like, holy shit.
And I guess you could definitely read that like he's very much relishing in that fraudulent world.
Well, so I wanted to bring it up earlier when you talked about how like he gets under Kyoraku's skin where not even Eisen can, right? So I don't know for sure, but so I'm also drawing on this because I just played Muvel of Alternative, Total Eclipse, the Imperial Capital Burns, and it has a scene in which a head of a noble family in the this is like a prequel series, so later she becomes the shogun and the leader of Japan, pretty much during. Muvel's got a whole bunch of other shit going on, but there's this scene where she talks to a military leader, and there's sort of like. Just the way a lot of the ways they talk, like they have their front conversation, and then there's like a whole a second conversation they have as they're basically conspiring. And there's even like the way they've mentioned like the like sort of emotional like security and just like because basically the way Tokinada talks deliberately to get under people's skin, right? I think there's an aspect to this sort of culture of this aristocracy of like if you get under someone's skin, get on their nerves and piss them off and they react badly, like they lack composure, right? They lack emotional stability, and it makes them look bad, and it gives you more power in that sort of social sense, right? So Tokinada, like the fact that Tokinada is able to get on Kyoraku's nerves more than anyone else is like he's the master of this kind of system, so it's like he like that's a part of his character is like he's basically like he represents all the worst and most negative aspects of this kind of like feudal Japanese aristocracy system. Right, and that's one of the ways he does that by like being very skilled at getting on people's nerves and being able to say the thing that because if they react, then they look worse, right? Because that's the so there's another aspect of his character that I think is interesting because I was like, wait a minute, isn't this concept so there's the concept of the hone and the tatemae, which is the front and the back, which in Japanese social situations, like there's basically what's being said and what's being implied through what's being said. I guess the difference, because like obviously like say you're at work and you're the model employee and you're saying what your boss wants to hear. Like the front of that is like I'm being a good worker, I care about this place, and the back of it is probably like I don't give a shit, right? The difference being with what I understand about certain aspects of how it works in Japan is that like there is an implicit understanding of the back side of the words, the tatemae, the hone, even though the front, the tatemae, is different. So one example for Bleach itself is the front of it is a shonen manga, but the back of it is that there's all these handsome and attractive male characters that attracted a female audience, right? So there's that again, the front of it, like what it actually is, and the back of what's being like implied or insinuated or being designed and mutually, like, because obviously like Kubo likely designed his characters with this in mind, and female fans became attracted to it and like they know about it and engage with it, like with that back element, so to speak. So I guess what I find interesting about Tokinada in compared to like Eisen, where Eisen, like again, he himself has like a front and a back to his words, right? Like the front, with the back being what's implied and what's insinuated that we have to understand. With Tokinada, the back is very, very close to the front, to the point that he's practically waving that back around, and like the fact, like he basically
his words. You're so right. His words always are on the edge of admittance. Right,
exactly.
Always.
But there's always that. That's what
he always has to.
Yes.
The responses always make him have to add caveats to the end, going like, "Oh, I'm not saying anything like that." Like
exactly,
I think literally says like, "Are you admitting to killing them?" And he's like, "Oh, no, I'm not doing such a thing." And it's like,
right.
Well, fuck. If he doesn't outright say it, I can't. Fuck.
Exactly. Like the front becomes a sort of plausible deniability in a sense, right? Like the actual context I most recently, or I was like, where did I hear this? I think it was this video where it was someone talking about how basically like Japanese studios in the 90s would make like toy anime featuring young male characters, and there'd be like a sort of like sexuality to them that was again made to attract, like sort of like Hitsugaya with Bleach, to attract older female viewers to this children showing at young boys, right? So the front offers a sort of plausible deniability, right? Like, like Bleach is this action shonen manga that just happens to have this female audience. Well, but it's like, there's very clear and deliberate reasons why it has that female audience, right? So again with Tokinada, again he has that front and the back, but he places the back very close to the front to piss people off, and it works because he's a piece of shit. He's just shit. Like, because it's like, Kyoraku needs proof there's like an honor, to be upheld in this system, so he can just basically brag about having done this murder and pulled it off in open, but he's still hiding, so it's like, well, can't do
and
anything.
now that you're explaining it this way, I'm kind of leaning more toward maybe what his ultimate goal is, and it leans toward what you were already saying earlier as well before you went off into that explanation, that maybe this sort of fraudulent world is the fact that he looks at it like, well, hey, look at how much I got away with when I did all of these dastardly things against the law. Doesn't that maybe mean that, like, isn't that something that only someone truly atop the hierarchy can really do? I mean, I didn't get away with everything, but I essentially skidded by, and I was sort of ostracized by my people after that because I was looked down upon. But in reality, I did what I wanted to do, and I got away with it, and I'm still here, and I have momentum now. With maybe just a little tip at the scale, could I not possibly have it all and showcase that my rightful place is to continue that spree, without ever being scrutinized, and without ever any what's the word I'm looking for?
Accountability?
Not just accountability. I guess accountability is an appropriate word for it as well, but how can he take accountability if he is literally at the top? And maybe a part of the world he thinks maybe why it's a fraud is that, like, he's in the background getting away with so many atrocities, and it's being covered up, whereas as a matter of fact the atrocities are still happening. They're still happening because he is allowed to do that. Why not put it in front? Because it's happening anyway. Why not show everyone? Hell, if I got the power to do it, why hide it? That's why he's teetering on the edge so much, because he wants to. He wants to fucking display it to everyone. But he knows, not quite yet. It's not the world that'll allow me to do it. Not quite yet. I'm almost there. Got to do a little bit more pushing. We got to be, he wants to be now, if I take precedence over even the council, my final word is more powerful than theirs. And if the someone who's directly under me is the literal Soul King, fuck, I have it all. I can put it all in front of everyone. No one can say anything about it. Maybe that's where this is going.
Yeah, I like that. No, him making a true world where he can just be as shitty as he wants, and he's untouchable though, right? Like he doesn't have to hide behind the front.
Maybe it's disgusting to him that, like, there's no, it's all like half measures. It's like, oh, hey, don't do that, and because you're doing that, we're gonna put you in the background. Tokinada, no, bad boy. Like, do not do that. But we're also not going to reprimand you. We're also not going to send you anywhere. We're also going to keep letting you have autonomy. And maybe to him it's like, I don't know. Maybe something about that idea really gets on his nerves. In some regard, okay. Maybe, I don't know. Again, a lot of this is conjecture for me based on very little stuff.
Hey, look, if the speculation turns out to be even partly true, you get to say, like, I called it, right? Like the big brain moment,
Yeah, but I think it goes hand, well, because I really liked your analysis there on the back and the front, and I think that goes hand in hand with what you were saying about how, like, all of his dialogue teeters on that, like, very close. It's very close together. Yeah. I think that'd be pretty cool, and it'd be nice. Honestly, I'll say it now. I think Tokinada from this first book, he's got a lot of potential to be, like, I don't know if I want to say top 5. Honestly, fuck it. Yeah, he's got potential to be a top 5 character. Really, he does.
No, I definitely will say,
really,
like,
interesting thus far.
There's a lot of interesting things brought up in this novel, but I think maybe it is because of the fact that, like, Tokinada, he's a new character completely, right? Even though he evokes a lot of the ideas of Soul Society that have just been very much in the background for now. Like, oh yes, in that way he's the back being brought to the front, right? But yeah, I think I also find him, like, potentially, like, the most interesting part about Camp Figaro World so far, because he's so completely new. but he's also like he adds a lot already. He already adds quite a bit to the just what Bleach has been doing, and I'm very curious to see what he's got going on.
Yeah, he is 100% a villain worth his spot in the Bleachverse. Like his presence is already very much felt. Like I think he is, with just a little bit we got from him. Dude,
yeah, very little.
I could easily
very
see him
little.
being like Eisen Yuhabaha tier for 100%. Like he's really like it's a very strong start for him. I think. It's good. It's good.
But anyway, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Yeah,
I was just gonna add because I had so another aspect of Tokinada is also his relationship with Hikone, where because basically with samurai feudal structures is the samurai is meant to be like unerringly faithful to their lord, right? And Hikone is that to a very toxic degree, like they're literally like being healed by Sanosuke, and Sanosuke has to like convince Hikone to decide to live because it's like, oh, does your master want you to throw away your life? And Hikone's like, oh, you're right. Yeah, I should live until my master wants me to die, right? Like Hikone is basically like a perfect like subservient tool and to Tokinada. And the reason I thought that was interesting to bring up, not just aside from like that aspect of their relationship, but also so the novel actually opens with the two quotes from the Soul Reaper Handbook Regulations Encyclopedia. There's a change in a certain so the first version of the line is seek not aesthetics in war, seek not virtue in death, think not of thine own life, should thee seek to protect thy king, and the five dukes slay all foe as indifferently as shadows of leaves. So the implication there is basically like, think not of yourself, you are a tool of the lords, right? Which, so I mean, there's obviously like thy king and the five dukes is like Squad Zero and the Soul King, but I also did think how the recurring of the number 5, which actually wait, hold on, because there's 5. Well,
also the five dukes.
There's 5 noble families.
You might even make an argument that the 5 dukes, meaning the leaders, the heads of each noble family.
Right. Though I also, for some reason, thought of how the Quincy cross has 5 parts to it, and I'm like, wait, hold on.
True.
Huh.
Yeah,
I just hadn't really thought about it. Anyway, but then the line was updated to, do not seek aesthetics in battle, do not seek virtue in death. Don't believe your life only belongs to yourself. If you really want to protect something, attack the enemy from behind. Which is especially about like, do not believe your own life only belongs to yourself. Like, there's more acceptance of like the heart, your bonds with your comrades, right? Like, don't throw your life away because you have people around you who value it, right? So basically, the quote at the beginning displays a change in mindset away from the traditional values, right? And this was a change that had been enacted. Like Rukia was quoting that second part regarding the Sora as a hollow, right? Or Hime's brother. That's to attack the enemy from behind. So basically, just the fact that the novel opens on a quote establishing a change in traditional values, like moving away from that samurai value of live and die for your lord that Tokinada is very much like has with Hikone. And then so I'm wondering so you have
changing now. He's making his moves. He's striding stronger than ever before.
Right. There's like a conflict of values basically between like what the Soul Reapers are now versus what Tokinada represents as something that's even in a sense even dated like before the series started, right? So I don't know, just that I hadn't thought about it until this discussion. I was like, wait a minute, because I was interested in those two quotes from the start, just because like something changed, right? And what changed, and now that I hadn't realized that factors into Tokinada and Hikone as well. So good shit.
Tokinada is cool as fuck, and he's only gonna, I already know he's only gonna get cooler.
Absolutely,
if he honestly, if just on the notion alone that if like Tokinada becomes like he pops up into my top 5 list, like Can't Fear Our World just on that alone is going to be goated, and I already know there's going to be a lot more in store than just like Tokinada.
Oh yeah.
So I'm hoping that he lives up to like I got really strong expectations for him now because he had a really strong start. I mean, the chapter 1 itself was like one of the strongest starts for any character. Would it not be? Can you not make an argument that like that is a crazy introduction? That's like, oh yeah, I'm the husband. LMAO. It's like what the fuck? I remember reading that. I was like, I mouthed like, what the fuck? Like I was like, holy shit, this motherfucker is like he is the definition of malicious. Holy shit.
Yeah,
cow
no,
as fuck, man. Holy mackerel.
No, yeah.
We got
really
our
interesting
truly
stuff.
evil bro in the Bleach verse, and I'm digging it.
Yeah, no. See, actually, it's funny because before this, I was like, "Yeah, cool. I'm gonna read more Can't Figure Out World soon." Now, after discussion, I'm like, "Ooh, I'm excited to read more Can't Figure Out World." Like,
I might
just
actually
thinking about it got me hyped about it.
I might read a chapter tonight. Actually,
I was thinking about doing the same thing. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that about any final thoughts? Any closing words for Can't Figure Out World Volume 1?
Oh yeah. I'm because we do get the hype at the end about Urahara, so he knows that what the Soul King was before we see him, like in the story. Like he knows what the Soul King was prior to what he was, like when he's like armless and whatever. How, first of all, and does this mean he knows the quote-unquote original sin that Eisen was talking about in the second prologue?
Mm-hmm. Well, because I kind of
mentions the original sin.
Yes, because I mentioned what I was told it was. I thought early on the podcast, but I will keep quiet on it until we see it for sure, because I might have been misinformed or misremembered. So I'll leave it to that.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I don't either. I've been told and don't remember, or I've never been told. And so
yeah. Well, I mentioned it on the podcast, so you've been told. You just don't remember.
Let's go! Thank God for my absolute best memory. Thank God.
All good. But yeah. All right. So yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Glad to be discussing more Bleach. We took a little break between this one and the last one. Now if there's a longer break, it's because it's like we got a fat fucking nearly 500-page novel to read. So even if it's like each individual page isn't the wordiest, it's still a chunky book. So
yeah, we will be reading though. We will be reading.
Yep. It'll take we'll get it done. We'll more Can't Figure Out World within a few weeks. So yeah, thank you for listening, and we will see you then.
Peace out, guys. Bye bye.